This list will not contain Luvdisc. Under no circumstances shall it contain Luvdisc. No Luvdisc will be brought up in this video, as I am not one for beating dead Luvdiscs. Anyways, with that said, yeah, look, I'll be real. I just kinda woke up one day when thinking of what video idea I wanted to do. Figured I'd do some planning and some work, and just really felt like talking about water. Water is one of the most populated types in all of Pokemon, and because of that, we all know that some are going to be absolutely excellent, while some are going to be Seaking, who will also be omitted from this video, because what is there even to talk about? Now, as per usual, it's gonna see no use in either a playthrough or competitive, either because it's really bad, really weird to get, or because it has the competitive viability of a half-eaten fish. But before that, Mist Magius Let's Plays Mystic Reads and What Ifs. Links will be in the description below. With that, let's get started. With new toy syndrome having officially died down, I can confirm that Wugtrio may be one of the most comically underwhelming Pokemon I have ever seen. Yeah, this is a slander segment. I'm not sorry either. This mon just kinda sucks. I think its design is somehow even dumber than original Wugtrio, whose design is, let's be real, dumb. I don't dislike Wugtrio. Wugtrio's design works. Bro is just coming out of the ground and meant to make you question what happens when you send it out on the water surface. It's silly. Wugtrio is just 3 dudes coming out of a rock. How do you have a base 120 speed stat? Do you just like hop around in there really fast? How is this thing supposed to outspeed a jet dragon? This is insane. I know it's just a carbon copy of Wugtrio's stats, and I get that, but Wugtrio is missing the sauce that makes Wugtrio work. Gooey is the only ability it has with practical use. It hits like a wet noodle, and it has defenses that make its 2 weaknesses look like 14 with 4 neutralities. Veluza is a Pokemon that I wanted to be good, oh so very badly. It hurt me when this mon turned out to be incredibly mediocre. They made it a slower, but stronger, but also more gimmicky Bruxish. And personally, I don't know why they made it a Psychic type when it could have been Steel. But what do I know? But what really gets me about this Pokemon is that even if you do get off Filet-Away, its signature move, you aren't even guaranteed to win due to potentially getting picked off by priority, or worse, a fast Choice Scarfer. A Jolly Filet-Away Veluza gets outsped by a Jolly Choice Scarf Dodrio by exactly 1 point. And that means that any Scarfer with the base 110 speed tier, which isn't too uncommon last time I checked, can pull up to the function and cut Veluza's sweep short. And that's not worth committing to, even with Sharpness making Aqua Cutter and Psycho Cut nuclear damage dealing weapons. Arceus forbid, I click E-Speed. Psyduck's fully evolved form, who is not gold, but very much is a duck, kind of has the problem of just being a basic water type. Now don't get me wrong, I know bro has popped up in VGC and has had some accomplishments there, and with Cloud9 is one of the greatest answers to Primal Groudon of all time, and with Swift Swim has functioned well in rain. I get it, but like, that time of its life is over. We're not in the days where Golduck has magically carved out a niche for itself. It's safe to say it's faded into irrelevancy. But hey, it does get the water HMs, so I know exactly what it's useful for in a playthrough. But there are still better water types to pick. So, Water and Ground has been a type that has been notoriously good. Quagsire, Swampert, Gastrodon, and even Seismitoad have all had their moments in the sun where they've all managed to become excellent Pokemon, whether it's for bullying Kyogre or just being excellently tanky. I know Seismitoad was pretty solid back in Gen 8 if you needed an alternative to Barraskewda. However, Whiscash might just be one of the fakest dudes I've ever laid my eyes on. Its stat spread is incredibly awkward and mediocre. It has no form of reliable recovery. It isn't fast or strong enough to take advantage of Dragon Dance, and it just doesn't have that unique, specialized role that the other water grounds have been relevant for. Its offenses are too horrid to be like Seismitoad, and its defenses are too jarring to be a wall like Quag and Swampert. Its abilities are all pretty bad too. And outside of Dragon Dance, it has nothing special going for it in the move pool department. This is like the weird cousin who shows up at Thanksgiving that no one likes or really knows how to talk to, but he shows up anyways. He doesn't do anything, he's incredibly unsuccessful, and I would rather hang out with Big Bro Swampert or Uncle Seismitoad and catch up with them. Bro might just be the biggest waste of a Master Ball I have laid my eyes on. Bro outright ate that, which means that it technically has a better resistance to human technology than actual legendaries, which I find to be insane. However, do not let this fool you. Bro is a fraud. And personally, I don't see a real person to use it in an actual playthrough when it shares the same decks as Gyarados, Ludicolo, and Tentacruel to name a few. Maybe you'd use it if you want a challenge, or if you're Nuzlocking and this is somehow one of your best options for a fight. My beef with Dugong is the same beef I have always had with it, being that it's subjectively just a worse Lapras in just about every regard. Lapras isn't even harder to obtain in any entry that doesn't take place in Johto. One is handed to you in Kanto and Kalos. Meanwhile, you have to carry this sad sack known as Seal in your party until level 34, where it becomes a Pokemon so underwhelming that I forget it's in my party anytime I'm not using Surf. I never considered the prospect of sending it out into battle because I don't believe in getting my Pokemon hurt for no reason. And this mon would get hurt for no reason at all. And when I say worse Lapras, I don't mean battle-wise too. Lapras actually has a cooler design. So it feels like any Basculin that isn't White Stripe became infinitely less useful because it isn't White Stripe. White Stripe has the advantage of being slightly less predictable, as it has the same stats as regular Basculin, but the difference is that White Stripe can run Eviolite, which means it has one extra item it can wield compared to the other two, which gives it one extra bit of variance, which therefore makes it quite literally better than the other two due to this slight advantage. There is no reason to use red and blue when white does the same exact thing, and that ever so slightly more. It's the same reason you don't use Resolute Keldeo, because now your opponent knows you're on Sacred Sword. You also can't run Shiny Greninja because then they'll know you're not on Battle Bond, and don't have to guess which set you're running. It's very minor, but it has such a drastic impact on the battle that you're throwing by using it. Knowing is half the battle. And, oh, this is also important. White Stripe can evolve into two really powerful fish. There's your small lesson on Basculin why some forms are simply not meant to be run. Now, with that said, feel free to tell me which of these mons is your favorite design-wise. Speaking of design-wise and forms not to be ran, look, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe people actually like the Aqua breed Tauros, but I have seldom met a person who prefers this over the Fire version. The Fire version is quite literally better. It has an overall better typing with access to Will-O-Wisp. In comparison to what? Aqua Jet from Aqua breed? Yeah, I don't see the use here. This is one of those situations where the reason why not to play it is because you'd rather use Tauros Fire. Because Tauros Fire has a better niche than it, with Will-O-Wisp turning it into a physical wall when in tandem with Intimidate, or a potent attacker with Band and Scarf. Meanwhile, Paldean Aqua does the same exact thing, but with no Will-O-Wisp, and therefore becomes a little more predictable as to what set it's probably running. Fire Tauros is unique in what it does, with access to Bulk Up, Body Press, and Will-O-Wisp, while Water Tauros has quite literally less options than Fire. So, Mega Slowbro is another form I have saw people just not use back in its heyday. Except for this one time I was doing a free-for-all on stream way back in the day, and some jerk I know showed up to the free-for-all with a Mega Slowbro and just sat there, flexing with its Calm Mind and Iron Defense, and getting to +6 when everyone was weakened. It was really annoying because we knew we lost. Now, why do I remember this? It's funny, because I wound up hiring the guy years later. This is a part of how we met. Sentimentality aside though, that dude is the only person I have ever met seen toting this boy around. And that's because people would rather use their Mega on something else. Why not use the overly tanky setup sweeper wall as your Mega? Because it just wasn't a popular choice when people could run the more consistently reliable Regenerator Slowbro, who never had to use Slack Off or Rest and had a lot more variety in sets. Meanwhile, you knew what was coming with Mega Slowbro. Either it ran Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Slack Off, or Rest, or it ran Calm Mind, Slack Off, Rest, or Scald, and a second attacking move. Combine this with the fact that other Megas were just more valuable to have in the eyes of the player based in comparison, and poor Mega Slowbro got pushed out of the limelight. But hey, I still lose sleep at night over that FFA back in Gen 6. Huntail's entire issue, and the reason no one uses it, is because it is strictly just a worse Gorebyss. No, I'm not joking. If you're going to find a way to trade Clamperl with its respective item in order to get one of the two fish, which is a very stupid method by the way, you're gonna want these stats. Gorebyss has higher special attack than Huntail does, and this line's special attacking move pool is just better overall anyways, with access to Ice Beam and Hidden Power Grass in comparison to Ice Fang and Sucker Punch. Not to mention, Gorebyss also gets Draining Kiss, Signal Beam, Psychic, and Shadow Ball, while Huntail gets no really cool physical moves. Yeah, this is just sad. And Wailord. Oh man, Wailord. Look at how they massacred my sweet, sweet boy. What was once a Pokemon with kind of a niche due to Water Spout working weirder in Gen 3 than it does nowadays, to a Pokemon with absolutely nothing going for it whatsoever. Not that any other Pokemon can't already do anyways. Yeah, the HP is nuts, but its defenses are low, its speed is low, and its attacking stats are very unimpressive. It looks like they took Wigglytuff, made it a water type, made it better in just about every way stat-wise, but still kept it so unimpressive that it still couldn't eke out a viable niche because it just doesn't do anything. You have Water Spout, and that's awesome. But what is Water Spout coming from a base 90 special attack after you've already gotten hit by your presumably faster opponent? It isn't. The biggest Pokemon in the world at the time, and it's unfortunately an even bigger fumble in the gameplay department. Even in a playthrough, you don't want to slot this mon on your team, because not only do you already have a water type by the time you finally get to use this, but having to carry a Whelmer around to level 40 should be considered a crime in all cities in Hoenn. Okay, I've been saving this for last. The only time you're using Wailord is for getting the Reggies. That is literally the only reason why you use it. Other than that one instance, no, it's not used. Man, the water type sure is something else, producing some of the best bulky waters a guy can ask for. However, on the opposite side of the coin, it has also produced some rather unsavory specimens that will unfortunately amount to nothing, being lost in the sands of time. And yeah, that's really all I got for today. I'm now going to wait for spring so it can be warm and I can go swimming.